We at a Baptist church? We are not at a Baptist church. Where are you? Yeah. Does it feel good? That's what I have to ask. Does it feel good? I'm a little crackly, aren't I? Oh, darn it. I'm a little crackly. Well, I'll go try to fix that. Maybe if I talk like this, I'm not so crackly. Is that possible? Can I just talk like this? No. We are here to create a movement grounded in love and kindness that transforms us, our community, and the world. That's it. Can you say that together? All right, let's take a deep breath together. And maybe one more, just in and out, in. And let's be grateful in this very moment, especially for all that is yet to happen in our life. To be grateful right here, right now, for all that is yet to happen. All the experiences, all the relationships, all of the connections, all of the experiences that are yet to happen for us. To feel excited to know that there is life yet to live. And to have an open heart, a grateful heart. To be here right now. To feel joy. To feel possibility. To feel at ease. To be curious. And with all that, to be kind. For the feeling of gratitude in our hearts at this moment, we could not feel and be more aligned with the divine nature that we are. And so it is. Amen.
Daddy doesn't pray anymore. I guess he's finished talking to the Lord. He used to fold his hands and bow his head down to the floor. Daddy doesn't pray anymore. I remember even when the times were bad, he thanked you.
I think Jared is a great storyteller, isn't he?
Yes.
And great stories with emotion like that really allow us to make it, see what it means in our life, doesn't it? Like what it means and how it means. Yeah, so thank you for that, Jared. Thank you. You might have heard me say before, or maybe not, but I've said before that people need a good listening to. You know, people need a good listening to, and I really mean that, because a lot of times we don't listen. We don't listen. We might have made up our mind that we know what they're going to say, or we might have made up our mind that we don't want to hear it, and we don't listen. We don't listen. When really what people need, including ourselves, is a good listening to. And I think when we refuse to listen or when we don't listen, we fall short of our own potential. Because listen, I don't know. If we're not learning something new and we're stuck in what we already know, well, what's that about? that about? That's what I mean when I say we fall short of our own potential if we refuse to listen. Often we listen to others at what's called level 1 listening. Level 1 listening is a way of listening that someone begins to talk, and as soon as they start to give you some words, you start making up a response yourself. You start making up the story of how you can relate to that person. You start making up a story of how I'm going to respond. Think about if you were trained as a debater, like in a debate school. Like that's what you're doing. Like you just want to present the other side. You're really not listening to the person at all. Not at all. At level 1 listening, you're not really listening at all. Or you're listening kind of, or you're pretending to listen. Have you ever pretended to listen? Because you were bored to death, you didn't want to really hear, right? We've all done this, including myself. I'm not standing up here saying, well, I don't listen at level 1. No, I do. We all do listen at level 1. When we listen at level 1, we're really making whatever we're hearing about us. We're making it our story. It's all about me and how I relate to that, instead of listening to the person. And in order to become a good listener, a skilled listener, we have to take ourselves out of the center of that story. At level 2, a level 2 listener is someone who listens to understand, who listens to someone's words intently, and wants to hear what they have to say so that they can understand maybe a different position, or understand something new that they hadn't thought of before. So at a level 2 is like, I want to listen to you. I want to be there right with you. I want to hear those words that come out of your mouth because I want to understand. That's a whole different level of listening than level 1. A level 3 listener is someone who listens and not only hears the words, but hears what's behind the words, who hears what the feeling is behind it and the emotion behind someone's words, no matter what they're saying. You see, that level of listening is energetically from the heart rather than the mind. At level 2, we're in our mind trying to figure and understand. At level 3, we're in our heart, and we're trying to understand at a whole different level. You hear what I'm saying? And it's not about really going from, getting to level 3 all the time. Because I'll just tell you the truth about myself. There are some people in my circle of life who I don't want to listen to ever. Whose energy is something I don't want to align with. I'm just putting it out there and saying I don't want to listen to what they have to say. Now that's to my own detriment, but the whole idea of understanding these levels is so I can make a conscious choice about it and realize what level I'm listening at. But I'm telling you, when you listen at level 3, you have the opportunity to change someone's life. When you listen at that level, you have the opportunity to change someone's life. I want to give you an example. This is a story I read on NPR. It's from their series, My Unsung Hero. So there was this guy, his name is John Moe. He moved to the Seattle area in the 1990s. He dreamed of becoming a writer and an actor. That's what he was there to do. But he found himself working full-time in customer service at a software company. He said it wasn't any fun, and at the same time, he was dealing with some depression, undiagnosed, and it was really devastating for him because it wasn't where he wanted to be, and he had this, this medical condition as well. So he just had this inherent belief that other people got to do cool things, but I had to get a job that I hated and work there till I died. So that's what he thought. Yeah, you probably can relate, right? So his coworker, Jane, was in HR, and she noticed something about this guy, right? She noticed something beyond his own words. She felt something beyond what he even felt. And she said this to him, "You don't belong here. You're meant to do something else. You should be making a living being creative." So even though he's putting out these vibes of not good enough and all the vibes he's putting out, she saw beyond that. She heard beyond his words. And she actually, as the director of HR at this company, told him, "Hey, my husband's company is looking for a creative person. And so you know what he said to her? Oh, okay, so you want to know if I can think of anybody creative? Right? That's what he says. And she says, no, I mean like you. Like you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. So he not only got that job, but he made a name for himself in the industry. And today he's a published writer. He has a book called The Hilarious World of Depression. He has a host of Depresh Mode with John Mode, a mental health podcast. Okay, and he credits that to Jane. Jane telling him, you gotta get out of here. The HR person for that company just lost an employee, by the way, telling him that he needed to be somewhere else because that's what she saw. That's what she heard beyond the words. And he said this, to this day, he makes sure to follow Jane's example by going out of his way to tell someone they are good at something, especially if they're not giving themselves credit for it. Because maybe they haven't been told enough times. And that's going to give them the confidence to get to the next level. And then they can tell somebody else at a later point. Like changing his life by listening beyond the words. By listening beyond the words. I mean, that's the power of level 3 listening. And I think that's something that we should consider. I think that level 3 listening can also change a moment in time. A moment in time. Renee and I were at a barbecue and brew competition on Thursday afternoon. There's a company that does materials testing and construction, and every year they invite different companies that they work with to barbecue a hog. And they provide the hog, and then all these people show up and taste all these different things and vote for the favorite one. All right, I know you vegans are grossing out right now, but just stick with me. So we went, and there's also a brew tent, and there's like 5 or 6 people that do microbrews, and you taste those, and then you can vote on those. And then they give away awards, and it's a fun time. It's a fun time to get together with people that you work with that you don't have time, that you don't often socialize with. So we were there, and one of the pit masters, Renee and I both know, and we knew that he usually coupled with this other guy. And usually the team of them is who did this hog together, right? He says, where's your buddy? Where's your buddy? Oh, this guy is a good friend of his who's dealing with addiction issues. And so he showed up not able to help him be there that day. He was not in any condition to stay there and work with him. And so this guy was like really upset. He's like, I don't know what to do. And Renee and I listened to him. We didn't tell him what he should have been doing. We didn't give him advice. We just stepped aside with him, and he shared how he felt about what was going on. And I know that we made a heart connection with him. I know we were listening from that place, not in judgment of his friend, not in judgment of him, just to be able to listen from the heart, not from the mind trying to figure things out, but from the heart. And the way I know that is, that's the last thing we did before we left that event. And so we were getting ready to leave, and he said, oh, do you want some barbecue to go? Now, this is not a barbecue to go event. This is you show up and you have your thing and then you go home, right? And in hindsight, I was thinking, he just really felt that we were able to give him this gift of connection, and he was showing what he could in return in that moment. Now you can say, well, Paula, you might have just made that up. Well, I might have made it up. But that's what it felt like to me. That's what it felt like to me. Because that's the way we are. When someone gifts us with something, we want nothing better than to return that, to keep that energy moving, don't we? I think that's what it's about. We can change a moment by listening from the heart. Not the mind, not level 1, but from the heart. Listening in that way can be really powerful. It's a powerful place to be. See, even the universe is like, it's powerful. So I want you to remember, and I want us to remember that people need a good listening to. People need a good listening to, including ourselves. But there's another kind of listening that I want to talk about too, and that is, for lack of a better word, spiritual listening. Like listening, we talk about listening from within, listening to the Spirit, listening for the voice of God, listening to the angels, listening for people who have passed over and what they have to say, like listening from within, that kind of listening. Because that's another powerful listening, way beyond the listening in the physical world. Way beyond that. And I had to go back to my favorite story in the Hebrew Scriptures, which is any story about Elijah. Because Elijah was, I don't know, he's a great character. And I'll say again, the greatest Bible teacher I ever had said, this story may have happened, it might be true or it might not be true, but the story, it might have happened or it might not have happened, but the story is true. So this story has something for me. So it's the first book of Kings. And Elijah is rolling into the King Solomon's kingdom. And King Solomon had just died, actually. But King Solomon, he was all about leading his people to worship God. The real God, right? Not the idolatrous gods that they had been before. But unfortunately, toward the end of Solomon's reign, he had like 1,000 wives, right? This is why I said it. It might have happened, not happened, but anyway. He had 1,000 wives, and some of them started praising this other god called Baal, B-A-A-L, right? And from there, it went downhill. Everything after that, it just kept going further and further into the praising of these other gods. And there were all these priests, like 800 some priests and prophets that were all guiding the people to that. And so the last king to come into power before Elijah shows up is Ahab, who is married to Jezebel, by the way. That might mean something to you, the old Jezebel. And he rolls into town and he's like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're praising this god Baal and you have all these priests. Like, what happened? What happened here? I thought y'all were on track. He said, all right, well, we're going to have a competition. That's what we're going to do. A competition. It wasn't a barbecue and brew, but it was close. He said, we're each going to build an altar and we're going to put a cattle offering on top of that. And you're going to pray to your God and make him light that fire. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And then I'm going to do the same thing, he says. So they build their altar, and they got all the sticks and the fuel, and they put the animal on the top, and they pray hard. I mean, they pray hard. They pray for the gods to light the fire. And they pray, and Elijah's saying, not working for you, right? They're like, we're going to get him. Can't make the fire start. Elijah said, well, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to do it. So he builds a totally separate altar and puts all the wood on there and puts the dead animal on the top and builds a trench around it and fills it with water. He says to the people, come on, throw water on this whole thing. I'm not worried about it. They had people pouring water on. Pour it again 3 times. They bring water and douse the whole thing, drench it in water, fill the trench around with water. And then Elijah goes and prays to God and said, all right, God, you said you had my back, so it's time. And poof. I mean, a fire so hot it consumed every bit of water in the trench. So Elijah says, all right, grab all those prophets, all 800 of them, take them down to the river and murder them all, kill them all, get them off the face of the earth. So that's what happened. Well, when Jezebel found out, you didn't know this stuff was in the Bible, did you? It's right here. Jezebel says, oh no, he's not getting away with that. He's going to get the same fate as all those priests got. Go find him and kill him. So this is where the real story starts, but I thought that other one was so interesting that I had to share with you. So Elijah gets wind that Jezebel's after him, and he goes on the run. He goes on the run. He's crossing the desert. He's sleeping under a bush one day, and he wakes up the next day, though, and there's bread and water right there as he wakes up. he goes further, he's in a cave, and again, the voice inside of him saying, eat, because you need to eat, you need to nourish yourself. It's a long trip. You need to do that. And so he nourishes himself again, and finally the voice within says, go up to the mountaintop because God is about to pass by. This is all the guidance he's getting from within himself. And you know what happens then? He said, go stand on the mountaintop. And a hurricane wind whipped through the mountains and shattered the rocks before God. But God wasn't to be found in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, fire, but God wasn't in the fire. And after the fire, a gentle and quiet whisper. When Elijah heard the quiet voice, he muffled his face with his great cloak and went to the mouth of the cave and stood there, and a quiet voice asked, so Elijah, now tell me, what are you doing here? An invitation to Elijah saying, what do you need? What do you need from me? You finally got quiet enough to hear these voices. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve you. But you got to get quiet. You got to go up the mountain. You got to get into some solitude. It doesn't happen running across the desert, being chased by Jezebel. He was in a world of hurt here. But he got quiet enough to hear the guidance from within. Are you in a worse way? Is anybody chasing you to kill you? Whatever's happening in your life, I'm telling you what the answer is to get still. Because we have our part to play in order to hear the guidance. We've got to climb the mountain. We've got to get out of the weeds in order to hear the guidance that we have available to us from within. We have to create the conditions around ourselves so that we can hear that. So we all have, we have access to it, all of us. Elijah was not the one and only. We all have access. We got to get still. I can hear you now. I can't stop my mind. My mind just runs on and on. Oh my gosh. I'm saying you just haven't practiced enough. Remember this? It reminded me so much of this. You just haven't practiced enough. From Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Remember? The Queen says, how old are you, to Alice? And Alice says, I'm 7.5 exactly. She says, you didn't need to say exactly. I can believe it without that. Now I'll give you something to believe. I am just 101, 5 months and a day. And Alice says, well, I can't believe that. And the Queen says, can't you? Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes. Alice laughed. There's no use trying. One can't believe in impossible things. And the Queen says, I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Yeah! Practice! You gotta practice. It doesn't come to you because you're all in the weeds. The Queen knew that. The Queen knew that. Do you practice? Or have you just given up before you started? Do you just watch the birds? Or watch the wind in the trees? Or gaze at the moon? Do you just become still for a minute? Practice. It could seem like a miracle to believe an impossible thing like God can actually talk to you and guide your life for you. I say yes. Why not? Why not? If you listen. See, the mind is the servant of the heart. Let's listen with the heart. And it's all possible. The Queen had it right. Here's the simplest thing you can do. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. You always have your breath available to you. There is nowhere you go where you leave it at home, or in the car, or anywhere else. It's always there. To be still. Just follow your breath. Alice didn't pause enough to follow her breath. She just laughed and said, "Oh no, I couldn't possibly believe that." It doesn't have to be a big production. There's a payoff to this kind of spiritual listening. And like I said, it's that God itself is guiding you in every aspect and area of your life. Every aspect and area of my life. Are you confused? Be still. Psalm 46 is the psalm that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stop judging, stop making obstacles, just be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. The payoff is huge. Guidance in your life from the divine itself. Whatever you call it, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. To listen to that, it's a big deal. And elsewhere in the scriptures it says, "To those who have ears, listen." So I'm asking you the same. To those who have ears, listen. Listen from the inside. There's an answer to any and every question, any and every condition in your life. The answer is there. What just an amazing thing to believe and to practice. Practice, practice. So let's go into our meditation this afternoon. Follow your breath. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And let's follow the advice of the Queen. Leave Jezebel where she is. Let her do her thing. And to decide, to believe that it's possible that the divine, that God itself, is available to me in every moment. That I'll be able to hear that guidance clearly in the stillness, at the top of the mountain, the small voice, the voice that comes from love itself. So for these few moments together, be still and know. Be still and know. my father could hear a little animal step or a moth in the dark against the screen. And every far sound called the listening out into places where the rest of us had never been. More spoke to him from the soft, wild night that came to our porch for us on the wind. We would watch him look up and his face go keen till the walls of the world flared and widened. My father heard so much that we still stand inviting the quiet by turning the face, waiting for a time when something in the night will touch us, too, from that other place.
I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice, take joy, my King. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Sing that with me. Love you, Lord.
I appreciate you all being here. Let's close as we pray in this way, yes? With a deep breath first. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. And so it is. Amen. Until next time.